It's midday in Nigeria. Welcome to Lunchtime Politics. I'm Nelta Egbe. And first, the headlines. National Executive Council of the two leading labor unions in Nigeria, the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress, suspend their strikes hours after listing 6 demands to the federal government. State Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu floors the PDP and the Labour Party candidates in their appeal courts. The aftermath of the 2023 election, APC youth in Kogi State storm INEC headquarters in Abuja to back Ododo's victory as Plateau PDP women protest conflicting tribunal judgment in Jos. Start out with the report that the Joint National Executive Council of the Nigeria Labour Congress and the Trade Union Congress has suspended the nationwide indefinite strike which they embarked upon on Tuesday. The decision to suspend the action was reached at a meeting which deliberated on the outcome of an earlier interface with the federal government led by the National Security Advisor Nuhu Ribadu. President of the Trade Union Congress, Mr. Festus Osifo, confirmed the suspension of the action to Channels Television. The Labour leaders say they got commitment from the Nuhu Ribadu meeting that those arrested for the physical assault on the NLC President Joe Ajero will be prosecuted. Arrest and prosecution of those who attacked the president of the NLC was a major demand of the Labour leaders who declared a nationwide strike on Tuesday. And the appeal court sitting in Lagos Island has affirmed the judgment of the election tribunal upholding the return of Mr. Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Quadri Hamzat as the governor and deputy governors of Lagos State. The appeal court panel, led by Justice Yagata Nimpa, in a unanimous decision, dismissed the appeal filed by the People's Democratic Party and that of the Labour Party, as well as their candidates, for lacking in merit. Meanwhile, Governor Sanwo-Olu, in a statement, hailed the judgment, just as the state deputy governor, Mr. Quadri Hamzat, who was present in court, said the verdict validates what transpired during the elections.
To litigate the cases again, it's been, and I took time to read the judgment of the tribunal, and to me, it was impeccable. It looks, like I said, very lucid. It was well explained, even to non-lawyers. It was tied to various cases, various other cases. So, for me, it seems that the tribunal did their job. And talking to other lawyers, senior ones, and of course the young ones, they were of the opinion that this is a solid case. So, you leave it to the judiciary and you do what you have to do. That's it. That's for the lawyers to be apprehensive, not for me. Well, we are doing our job. We just keep going. Remember, the election took place months ago. The people of the state voted for us. So that for us is the most important. The ability to convince fellow citizens, Lagosians, on what we intend to do. So those are the things we must focus on and do. So we will not be distracted by this. It's important. It's part of our process. In my view, it improves our democratic credentials. However, we must do what you have to do. And that's what the governor and myself and the whole cabinet, that's what we are doing, satisfying the needs of Lagosians.
From Lagos, we go to Kogi State, where youth from the state are calling on the Independent National Electoral Commission not to be stampeded into an unnecessary review of the Kogi State governorship election. The youth made the demand when they marched to the headquarters of the commission in Abuja. They maintained that the November 11 election remains the most peaceful and credible in the history of the state.
Anything to happen, please, they shouldn't listen to any other person that come to this INEC, because our election in Kogi State is peaceful. So we don't want problem. We are all Nigerians, and Ododo has won, and that is our stand. So they should please stand with the justice.
Moving from Kogi, let's just get back to that matter of the labor strike that was suspended yesterday. Now, it was declared on Tuesday, and yesterday, after a meeting with the National Security Advisor, they suspended the nationwide strike. We join our correspondent in Port Harcourt, Charles Opurum, to bring us up to speed as regards the happenings on the streets. Are the offices open? Are the people back at work? And what's the mood of those that are returning to work? Hi there, Charles.
Hi, good afternoon, Neota.
How are you
greetings
doing
from Port
today?
Harcourt.
Indeed.
Very well, thank you.
So tell us, the tension in the air and the locked offices, is that what you continue to see?
No. So as of this moment, I am standing within the premises of the River State Secretariat. So you can see the buildings behind me. It's open. As at this time yesterday, it wasn't open. It's open as of this moment. We're able to come inside. There are vehicles around. Although somebody who has done business here before, who has come here for any kind of service, would acknowledge that it used to be filled a lot more than this. Right now, the cars are scanty. You know, some of the workers who are supposed to be back at work are lethargic to return to work. But by and large, it's open. Some staff members are here. They're working. Nobody has picketed this place. But before I came here, this place is on Gokana Street. I had to come down from Moscow Road, where I also observed the Court of Appeal, the River State High Court, the NNPC facility containing NUPRC and the upstream and the midstream, FIRS, National Population Commission, River State House of Assembly, and and then the River State Ministry of Physical Planning and Urban Development. All these places were open. People were going in and coming out. Though, what is instructive to note is that the staff haven't all come back. There's not a full complement yet, but they are no longer picketed, and people have returned to work, but not at 100%. Nyota.
All right, thank you very much, Charles. You keep safe and keep us updated on what's happening in the streets of Port Harcourt and River State in general. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nyota. Thank you.
Let's get back to the matter of politics. This time it's in Plateau State. The women of the People's Democratic Party in Plateau State have lent their voices to the ongoing appeals at the Election Petition Tribunal, which sacked 7 federal legislators of the party. Clad in black attires to express their displeasure over the court judgment. The women at a rally in Jos stressed that the sacked members were voted for overwhelmingly in their various constituencies, and they are appealing for the judgment to be reviewed. Well, we're being joined in the studio here by a security consultant, Mr. Kingsley Uzoma. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Uzoma.
Good afternoon. Thanks for having me.
So let's start off with what you just saw, that the women clad in black in Jos, Plateau State, telling the judiciary to please review the judgments that they gave that sacked their about 7 lawmakers from Plateau State. And then the youth that were at the INEC headquarters from Kogi State, declaring their support for the governor-elect, Ododo. What does that say of our election process?
Well, in the election process, as regards to security, we have pro-election security. We have security issues during the election and post-election security issues. So these are issues of post-election security, the outcome of the election. You know, any electoral process has to align with the greatest happiness for the greater number of people. All the candidates that you have, they all have followers, they have people who voted for them. So if you have your own candidate won or lost, you also have those who would want to protect their vote. So the youth you saw in Kogi State, from that lens, they are protecting their vote, the mandate of their candidate. You also have those who are aggrieved. That is why from the images we saw there, you saw police vehicles, and they're making sure that there are limits to which they can also draw near to the secured INEC facilities, the headquarters. In that regard, they also have a duty to protect the protester, but there are limits to which they can go in that regard. Then when you move away, because there are those who are aggrieved in that state, but the constitution and the electoral law is so clear in the sense that if you have complained anything, you are not okay with the outcome of the election, the tribunal is there for you to go seek redress based on your evidences. So that's how it goes. Then with regards to Plateau State, yes, the women, they have their rights. Or maybe from a school of thought will tell that, okay, it's because they are not actively engaged in today's activity, because the election is gone. No reasonable person, quote and unquote, will leave his or her duties daily where you fend for your family, you want to be at the street protesting. But we also have a duty to protect our democracy. Wherefore, the people feel that, oh, we voted massively for this, but maybe the tribunal is not being used whatsoever to manipulate the electoral process.
But just look at, let's assess the elections as you've seen, the ones in February and now this one in November. How would you rate the elections?
For me, as a nation, we are still in the process of building, deepening democracy. Like if you follow some of the writings or pronouncement of Madiba, that's Mandela, for him, it's not about the person that won. It's really about, after winning, go beyond the oppositions, those who never voted for you, going deeply to the grassroots to make sure that everybody is happy. And if you also exude from the point of view of utilitarian principle, the greatest happiness for the greater number of people, even if you have the majorities vote, the minorities, you have a duty to make sure that they believe in your policy, that they believe in that government, that they have reason to turn back, that this is actually the right candidate. And that must come in through your policy. Not policy as mere rhetorics, practical policy. The policies you are bringing out, do they have pragmatic relevance? How practicable are they to the society? Are the people but other as against having hunger, inflation, and what have you?
You heard the youth that came out, the Kogi State youth, talk about the fact that these are the most peaceful elections they've had in Kogi State. And indeed, the governor also, the incumbent governor, when in his reaction to the elections, he said, this is like the most peaceful elections compared to what they had in 2019. Do you agree with this from the angle of view of one who's in security business?
Sure. From the lens of security is 100%. There is a great improvement thanks to the Inspector General of Police, because the police is the lead agency on election security matters. Then we must also acknowledge the role the Police Service Commission played on that election. Although they work behind the scene, but having an oversight of the police, they made sure that things, and other security agents, although there are pockets of violence and incidences, but when you compare it, there's really a great improvement. Okay,
let me just ask you to hold on a bit there. We also have a political analyst joining us. Mr. Ododo joins us virtually. Mr. Ododo, thank you for joining us.
It's my pleasure, Nelson.
Let me start off with from where you are. I think you're in Lagos. Let's start off from that point. The appeal court judgment that upheld the election of Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu, and then the reactions from both the deputy governor and those outside of the APC.
Well, I'm in Abuja, so but I followed the court proceedings, and the judgment of yesterday did not come to me as a surprise, given the fact that you see the petitioners. One thing about election petition or election dispute resolution is that when you make criminal allegations, you have to prove beyond reasonable doubt. And that is a tried common law. But in this particular instance, the Court of Appeal said the matter that was brought before it was a pre-election matter, which the Supreme Court had already settled, which has to do with qualification and nomination. And there was argument about the citizenship of Deputy Governor of Lagos, Hamzat, that he has renounced his Nigerian citizenship or something of that nature. And when you look at the margin at which Babajide Sanwo-Olu defeated even his closest rival, who was Gadebo Rosevival, it was like a moonslide and landslide. But what they tried to do, what the opposition, both the Labour Party candidate and the PDP candidate tried to do is that when they saw that they could not prove that the election was not substantially conducted in compliance with the Electoral Act, they now decided to use issues around qualification and nomination. And the Court of Appeal, as well as the Supreme Court, in 2023, on the presidential election petition, accept issues around qualification and nomination are pre-election matters and cannot be canvassed at the post-election phase. But be that as it may, the Court of Appeal ruled that even then, the PDP candidate Jandor, that's Abdulrazak, I've forgotten his surname now, could not prove beyond reasonable doubt the claims that he is making, even as the court ruled that it's a pre-election matter, that even if they were to look at the merit of the case, they will still not have granted him his prayers. So you cannot, and don't also forget, these two candidates, if I can refer to them, both Babajide Sanwo-Olu and Hamzat, are seeking re-election. They just won a re-election. This issue had come up previously in 2019. It was ruled in their favor. You are now rehashing the same story in 2023. The two of them have served 4 years, 1 term, and they are re-elected, renominated and re-elected. Now you want to obtain a technical knockout by saying someone has a dual citizenship or has renounced the citizenship. Why didn't you canvass that issue at the pre-election phase? And even at that, the court has ruled that it's only member of a party that can challenge the nomination of the candidates in that party. You cannot be a meddlesome interloper. You belong to the opposition party. You don't want to challenge the nomination of candidates in another party. The court has ruled severally on this. So it does not come to me as a surprise that, Babajide Sanwo-Olu got a favorable judgment. However, we do know that there is still a window left for the opposition, both Gadebo Rosevival and Jandor. They can still go to court, to the Supreme Court, because it's only the governorship election that gets from tribunal through to Court of Appeal to Supreme Court. So they still have that window to explore. If they are dissatisfied, they can still go to Supreme Court.
Mr. Ododo, if I may come in here, there's this pre-election matter again. For instance, in Plateau State, some lawmakers were removed by the courts based on what is considered pre-election matters. And then you already said here the Supreme Court had already ruled that pre-election matters cannot be brought up again to nullify an election. So, at what point do we say the judiciary is doing right or wrong? I mean, this is a matter of conversation that has happened over and over again. At one case, one election is nullified based on pre-election matters of qualification or citizenship, like in the Plateau case matter. And you saw the women clad in black there who are protesting that they voted overwhelmingly for this candidate. 7 lawmakers are removed. And then you see the same thing coming up again in Lagos State, and the appeal court says, no, it's a pre-election matter. It cannot be used to prove this case.
So for me, the Plateau case is very unfortunate. I also did follow that. And my own interpretation would be that in the case of Plateau, the senator and the members of House of Reps that were removed was based on nomination. And like we said, it's a pre-election matter that ordinarily should engineer at the Federal High Court under the new Electoral Act. Now, the judge or the judges, both at the trial court and at the Court of Appeal, who has, in a sense, given this miscarriage of justice, unfortunately, can only be dealt with by the National Judicial Council. Their ruling will still stand. It's like, I don't know whether you are a football enthusiast in Nota. I think it was very recently, is it between Arsenal and Man City or something, that there was a presumption that the referee ruled wrongly, even with VAR. But despite that, the score line still stands. Yeah. So the National Judicial Council is the appropriate organ that the people of Plateau State can appeal to. Unfortunately, for senatorial and House of Reps positions, it ends at the appellate court, which is the Court of Appeal. And I also must sound this note of caution. I have also noticed, and you possibly know, that in 2019, in Rivers and in Zamfara, 2 scenarios played out. There was this issue of wrongful nomination that was carried out in Rivers APC. And Senator Magnus Abe went to court to challenge the primaries. And the court ruled that APC cannot present candidates in Rivers because they did not conduct proper primaries. In the case of Zamfara, it was even worse for APC. The election has been conducted, certificate of return has been issued, and Senator Kabiru Marafa, who challenged that nomination from the Court of Federal High Court in Katsina, in Zamfara, down to Court of Appeal in Sokoto, down to Supreme Court. Eventually, Supreme Court ruled that because APC did not conduct proper primaries in Zamfara, all those who have been issued certificate of return, their certificate should be withdrawn and given to the first runner-up. I want to exercise my own discretionary interpretation that it will seem like the Zamfara option is the one that played out in Plateau State. That their lordship said, from what I read, that when the issue was initially canvassed at the High Court, the court ruled, Federal High Court in Jos ruled that there was wrong Congress and that PDP should go and organize proper Congress in 17 local governments of the state. However, the PDP in Plateau State decided not to organize a fresh Congress in 15 out of 17 local governments. They only organized Congress in 2 local governments. And then it is this Congress that produced the people who served as delegates to nominate candidates. And what the tribunal and the Court of Appeal based their judgment on is that non-compliance with the decision of the court of the federal, either state or federal high court in Plateau, in Jos, was fatal to the case of PDP in Plateau, that if they had complied with the ruling of the high court that and are conducted proper Congress, not even primaries, if they had conducted proper Congress, that would have been a basis to now assemble the delegates who will now vote at the party primaries. And that non-compliance with the decision of the court is fatal to their, appeal. Yes, granted the fact that they won massively. In fact, the person who had the least margin of victory in Plateau State had over 60,000, over and above their first runner-up. But they did not follow due process.
Mr.
And like I said, it will seem like it's like the case of Sanfara that played out in Plateau State. So the only thing left for the contestants to do is to petition the National Judicial Council to report those judges, and perhaps NJS will find a way to discipline them if truly they have erred in law.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Ododo. He's a political analyst. Thank you for coming, and we do hope that all these matters will be resolved quickly, especially as it adds to the build-up of our electoral processes. Thank you once again. We also had in our studio here Mr. Kingsley Uzoma, a security consultant. Thank you again for coming in.
Thanks.
And just before we let you go, the Osun State government has debunked rumors of an alleged plot to remove the state chief judge, Justice Adigbele Ojo. In a statement released by the state's Commissioner for Information and Public Enlightenment, Oluomo Alimi, the state government affirmed its commitment to due process and stipulated regulations across the arm of government, and further reiterated that Governor Ademola Adeleke and his team are preoccupied with delivering on good governance to the citizenry. The governor, however, noted that all government officials, whether elected or appointed into any arm of government, are not immune from accountability, and also urged members of the public to note that he will not be involved in anything against the law, due process, and constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And with that, you've been served on Lunchtime Politics. Thank you for watching. I'm Neota Igbe.